VMware part, the company VMware, which is responsible for managing the softwares on the virtualization platform. So it is basically a VMware Inc. It's a software company listed in New York Stock Exchange under stock ticker VMW. Okay, it provides cloud computing and virtualization software, and it is responsible for creation of virtual resources like server, data, operating system, file storage, or network. Okay. And what is the main goal of virtualization? Through this, we can manage the workloads by radically transforming traditional computing to make it more scalable. Okay. So this is the basic diagram. We can see like how we can manage the workloads in a virtual machine. So here is our single system now, which is hosting additional virtual machines in a workspace as compared to physical machines. So in physical machine, we have CPU, memory, video card, disk, and network. They are all externally attached. However, in virtual machine, we have the hypervisor, let's say it's virtual machine apps, OS, and Linux, various operating systems are there. Okay. And this operating system then interacts with the application layer system before virtualization. And after virtualization, when the system operating systems and application that abstracted into virtual machine on the host, that it looks like this. So this is also bare metal hypervisor, which is an EXXI host. Now we'll check on the hypervisor part. What is hypervisor? It's a virtual machine or monitor, or it's a computer software or firmware or hardware that creates or manages virtual machines. Okay, so that is the hypervisor. Now, what is ESXi host? It is the Elect Sky X integrated, which is an enterprise server application or virtualization platform provided by VMware company. Okay, at the same time, what the basic structure diagram shows for ESXi host, here the kernel operating system kernel is responsible for communicating with the applications. Okay, and the kernel is responsible for managing the hardware and software. So as a type 1 hypervisor, ESXi is not a software application that is installed on OS. Instead, it includes and integrates little OS components such as Linux kernel. Okay, so like this, what is type 1 hypervisor? This is type 2 hypervisor, which is bare metal. So in this way, the guest OS or VM, it resides, communicates with the virtual hardware. However, whereas in Type 2 hypervisor, which is a hosted hypervisor, here the host OS is responsible for interacting with hypervisor and hardware. So they are in a way in intermediate between the hardware and software ecosystem. Now, what is the vCenter server? So, vCenter server is the centralized management system, we can say, or utility which is used to manage virtual machines or multiple ESXi hosts and all dependent components from a single virtualized location or centralized location. Okay. So this is the pictorial diagram. Here, our vCenter server, vSphere client, and through vSphere client, we are communicating with vCenter, and which is responsible for communicating with this bare metal hypervisor, which is either our host 1 hypervisor or host 2, which is the UTXI host. Now, when we check for the vSphere client or the virtualization, so all the dependent components here are there. So this vCenter server dependency is based on the ESXi host, and in that ESXi host, there are the virtual machines. Okay. Now, in vSphere client, what it will do, it will connect to the appropriate host and provides access to the virtual machine console. So we can download our vCenter server or vSphere client from here to access the vCenter server through the web browser. Okay. Now, what are the basic navigation and views? So in maintenance mode, you can put while in maintenance mode, the host will not allow you to power on a virtual machine. Okay. So whether when the ESXi host is in maintenance mode, then we are not able to power on the virtual machine. So that is the basic condition in our VMware technology, that because the ESXi host is sitting on the virtual machine and we could not power on that virtual machine since the ESXi host is in maintenance mode. Now, the migration part we'll discuss about the cold and hot migration. So, cold migration will be if the virtual machine is shut down, then we can easily do the migration. So, that is type of cold migration and hot migration. In that way, we can a running virtual machine can be transferred in the to the other virtual machine. Now, cloning also is a concept of copying of existing virtual machine. In this, we can share virtual disk with the parent virtual machine. Similarly, templates, how the template is defined. So in that way, it's a master copy of virtual machine through which you can create many kind of clones. Now storage concepts we will understood. Now storage adapters, they are provide connectivity for your ESXi host to a specific storage unit or network. Now, what are the storage adapters in the ESXi host they are using? So they support various classes of adapters host, including iSCSI drives, RAID, fiber channel, and fiber channel over the Ethernet and CAN. So the software iSCSI adapter that is which is built into the ESXi host, they are responsible for allowing this connection so that to communicate with the physical link through network stack. Now HBA card, if we will move, then we can go to other screen and see HBA card. You can see how the HBA card looks, so that we get a basic idea of how it works and what is the cost on this HBA card. See, this is 10,000 rupees weight controller for the HBA card, which is host bus adapter, you can say. Okay, which is responsible for the business logic, Q logic here you can see. Okay, so this is all about the HBA card. Now we will go through the what the so single storage device, which is NAS and SAN. Okay, NAS and SAN also we can check here. So how the NAS looks, which is a single storage device. In that case, we can see the NAS device. Okay, so this is the NAS storage device you can see, which is responsible for the and is communicating with the storage unit. Okay, here the Ethernet switch is there. This is the storage device. Okay, so this Ethernet switch is then connected to the servers in our network attached to storage. So that will be responsible for communicating with the switch level provisioning. Okay, similarly we will check with the SAN device. Okay, so this is the SAN part where we can find it. This is storage area network, which is in data center. If you will check, then how the SAN storage area network is connected. So this is a SAN switch which we have. Disk array is there, tab drive is also there. So here this network connected in the network LAN. The servers are connected in network LAN to a LAN switch and through a SAN switch, and through which they are connected to a disk array. Okay. Now thick versus thin provisioning. So in thick versus thin provisioning, when we create the virtual machine, okay, so then this suppose 40 GB is allocated. So in this used capacity, we it will allocate all the 40 GB to create the virtual machine, and our data storage of 40 GB. Okay, and in the same way, if provisioning capacity, it will check for the thick part, it will enter cap it will use the entire disk. However, in a used capacity will be in thin provisioning only the required capacity is used. Suppose we need a virtual machine of 40 GB, so space. So thick provisioning will take the 40 GB space. However, the thin provisioning will take only the 20 GB space. Now, in that case, active, and active passive also their connection. So active cluster in that case, you can say they are responsible for communicating with the node part, and in active passive, if one node is on, then other can be providing the failover capabilities. Now, snapshot also we in VMware can copy of virtual machine disk files which is at a given point in time. So this is the VMDK file, which is just a copy of any kind of files, and they are helpful to restore a virtual machine to a particular point with the failure system occurs, like our system restore point, which we do in our operating system, which we'll do in a system restore point. So it will, if suppose I will have to create a restore point for the C drive, and so I will create a restore point for the location. I will give the description. So like that, we can create a restore point also. Now, in that case, the host OS, that will be actual hardware we will be using for the working, whereas the guest OS, which is using the virtual hardware, like the number of cores, the type, and the size of hard drive defined by the user while adding that virtual machine. Okay. So now we check for the guest OS part and snapshot limitation. Okay. So snapshot limitations part, we will check what are the limitations are there, because hardware loss of machine may lose state of the virtual machine. Okay, so while creating a restore point or snapshot, if we do, let's say we would check the virtual VMDK file. Suppose we are making a copy of the virtual machine. Okay, So in that way, that while making a copy, the VMDK file also will get copied. Okay. So in that case, while taking a snapshot, the state of the virtual machine may get lost. Suppose I had to recover the machine at suppose 5 p.m. and the 3 p.m. data, the machine has required only up to 3 p.m. So the 2 hours data gets lost. So that is the snapshot, is the limitation of snapshot. And in reserved location, we will say swap file is also used model database using the following formula. So swap file is also a concept which we'll discuss more. So we can take a live example. Suppose VM is configured with 2 GB of 2 gigs of memory and regular for that VM is 512 MB only. Okay. So then the swap file size will be, we can use this formula like we can minus it and this would be the swap file size. So it would be the allocated space minus the reserved space which is allotted for the virtual machine. So this would be the swap file size and we have discussed the virtualization. So we are very good on this part by completing. So thank you for watching.